You're
Hi there.
back.
I
Everybody's
found Gail. Well,
back.
she disappeared. Oh, there she is.
Hi, Gail. And there's Barry. Barry's coming in.
I see 4 so far.
Yeah. I sent they should be along. I think if I understood what he's talking about, though, he's talking about making a plastic guide that goes over top of these holes.
Ah, yes. Okay, that makes sense.
These holes are way too big. Because I actually thought about just dropping the pogo pins in there, and you know they're all wappa-jawed because the holes are so big. And my little it's called, that's just bad. Here. I 3D printed that, and the holes are off, but they're tiny. They're tiny little holes, and my printer had a hard time keeping them open. And when I tried to drill them out a little bit, it just made it worse. So I don't know how to convey how small these pogo pins really are. These things are it's tiny.
Yeah.
Now the original design had pogo pins that had a flat bottom on them,
Mm-hmm.
and this has more of a pointed tip to it. And I'm wondering if the flat bottom might have worked a little bit better, but I couldn't find any of them with the flat bottom. All I could find was the ones with the pointed tip. So
We used to make test jigs that had pogo pins in it, and we would take a little block of Delran, which is a white, looks almost like a Teflon, maybe a 1/4 inch thick, something like that. And you take a very fine drill on a very fine drill press, small drill press, and drill a series of holes that way. And then you always had the problem of the shavings getting stuck in the holes and so forth. But that was set up so that they would come down we'd use them to test a circuit board or whatever, and you'd press that down on a circuit board in a jig. In other words, we had something that held them vertically. Now this is for an industrial application, so we're talking about, well, it's a engineering prototype application, right. I guess you'd say. but it had to withstand a lot of abuse and so forth and so on. And but they worked fine. They weren't quite as small a pins as you've got though. They were generally bigger, and you could buy them with the pointy tips on them, or what I would call kind of a square. Um, I think of it as a nail head tip on it,
Yeah.
depending on the kind of pad you were coming down on.
Yeah. The pads on this device are more flat and round. So I'm thinking that the ones that have kind of the nail head probably make better contact to them than the ones that are pointy. But I couldn't find the ones that.
I have no idea where we got those in those days. Today, I'd probably go on Amazon, but
Well, I bought
this
these off of eBay.
we were building these things back in the 70s, so uh, all the companies that were involved, including the one I was working for, are long since departed to the great bit bucket in the sky, so to speak.
Yeah, I got these on eBay, and they were cheap. 100 of them for I don't know, $5 or something like that.
Yeah.
But they. Oh, there's Vicente. Here comes Vicente. This is. Let's see here. What am I doing? There we go.
So
That's what the original design called for, was the P50 Q1s. I could not find those.
That's got a blunt tip on it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
they recommend those.
that's what they recommend, but I couldn't find them. I had to get the B ones, which is more of a pointy.
Mhm.
The P5B ones, and I asked the original creator if he thought that there was a difference, and he didn't seem to think that it would matter much.
No.
So
Do you know what the pads are that you're going down on? Are they solder pads or what?
they kind of resemble solder pads, but I can't really get it open.
I can share the pads. I have the pads in
All right.
my. Can you see that?
Yep. They
Yeah.
look.
This is the board across the holes in the
So
the
you're
case.
talking about those? Yeah. All
You
right.
need to target those pads.
So are those kind of rounded, humped like they would be if they had solder melted on them?
I know they are the golden plated or something like that.
Okay. So
Yeah, I don't think they've got solder on them already. I think they're basically flat pads.
Yeah, the red circles was me that I made now.
so Vicente, how'd you get this picture? Did you tear one of them apart?
No, I just go to Google and put the name of the device and use the picture searching and appears. Let me show where I take it from. This is the page. You see it?
Ah, okay.
You put Smart Technologies Response XE Programming firmware, and those pictures, and some of them are open. This is the one I choose.
Yep.
choose.
Yep, because we're following in the footsteps of other people, because
Yeah.
Okay.
other people are nuts enough to actually get these things open.
Mm,
Well, if you can buy 10 of them for $4 a piece or whatever, you can afford to sacrifice a couple to.
Well, I think I paid $6 a piece for mine. So Vicente got a better deal. That doesn't really surprise me.
look, this guy opened the box and the case and soldered the wires directly to the
Yep.
pads.
Yep.
But
And over here on the right hand side, where these pads are,
mhm.
the other, well, that's
There is,
the ISP.
here, you see the cursor?
Yep.
Yep.
And if you go
Yes.
over onto the right hand side of that picture,
Uh-huh.
more over. Yeah, right in there. That is where the down.
Microcontroller
That's the controller.
with the antenna.
Yep.
Antennas. It has two antennas, right?
And if you go down from there, you can see where an IC might be, and then more pads. Those pads are your RS-232 port.
Here, right? Where?
Go right
On
there,
the right.
right there.
There you
Here?
go. Labeled.
Yep.
Down.
That is probably those pads right there with the wires attached to them is your RS-232 port. That is probably like a max 232.
This one, right?
Yep.
Nope,
Use
down.
four capacitors.
Down. The one labeled RS-232
Oh,
under
the
the blue
one- yeah.
wires.
Yeah.
There, yes, here.
Okay.
But
Mhm.
that chip right there, the missing chip, that is probably a max 232 chip.
Yes, I guess, yeah. I bet that. It's a nice device for the price. And this is a button that you can press from the outside. Is that reset or what?
It's supposed to be power.
Okay. So the chip is sleeping, right?
It will put the chip to sleep. From what I've
Okay.
read, it doesn't actually turn the power off.
Okay. So you want to do a reset, you need to remove the batteries.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. This is the approach.
This is
I would love.
what he is looking at right here is exactly the person that I'm trying to follow, and I can actually talk to them. They're still around, so
Okay.
they're still willing to help.
What is this? The serial port?
I think that is his serial port. I think he broke out the serial port.
This is a game.
That is a game.
It's a serial USB adapter for the serial port.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because they didn't solder in a max 232 chip. They just did it externally.
Interesting.
It looks like the company that made this may actually have had other ideas for it, or an upgrade or something for a different model. But everything's nice and marked on the board. It's a nice, fun little project. if but a little frustrating.
40 for 134, 35. Wow,
Do you need 40 of those?
look at this.
We can't even get 2 of them to work yet.
They have another device that is like a phone, right? This
Yeah, I don't know what that one is.
they were designing for test, you know. I think that the students see a screen with a question, and they
Mhm.
choose the answer in their remote. So the grade is automatic after the exam.
Right.
But I don't know. Paper and pencil is okay also. Mm,
Here. This
okay. I leave it here.
these are the header pins that
Okay.
I'm waiting for. So they should be easy enough to solder on there. You just hold them down and tack solder to them. And
Yeah, yeah.
So you ordered this from DigiKey?
I did, and I'm still waiting. I am in
Okay.
a perpetual state of waiting. I don't know what DigiKey is doing. They're usually a lot faster than this.
I was gonna say I would expect a couple of day turnaround.
They say up to 5 now because of COVID and whatever, but I mean, I submitted the order on the 13th. I don't know what the 13th was. I don't think it was a business day. It was a Saturday. So
It
if
was
they've
a
got
Saturday.
5 business days, we are on the 4th business day. So they better be shipping it tomorrow.
So that's the ship time or the delivery time?
That's ship time. They're apparently running a little uh, light on staff or something.
Where is DigiKey's warehouse?
Is it Colorado? I think it's Colorado.
I know there's one of them that's in Northern California, I think, but I don't know that. I don't remember if that's DigiKey or something else.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Hell,
Yeah, don't you know?
4 days. 4 days you could bicycle it from Minnesota.
Stuff the stuff I've ordered in the past has shown up within a couple of days. That's why I'm very, very surprised that it's taken them this long to do this. But I guess if
There are,
they
I was talking about this sharing screen. You see?
I don't
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah, perf board.
Yeah, use something like this and choose the,
are you saying put this over top of the holes that are already there?
yeah, I think you can use
That
the
might work
holes, you know, something like this.
to hold them
I'm not
to hold
sure.
it straight up.
Maybe
The other thing you can do is put 2 perf boards with spacers, short spacers in between.
and you can
So
use
you,
then this.
so you get the holes aligned, and then you just push the pins through that.
Yeah.
You can use any header of the development boards. You use 2 headers
Yeah.
of 3 pins, and you're done. You know,
Uh-huh.
you only need to cut this.
What's the hole size there? Do you know?
This is 0.9, I think. But you need 1.03, right? The pogo pin is a little bigger than this hole. Maybe you need to cut with 1.1 millimeter hole to put the pogo pins here. But I'm not sure if this is the standard distance of the
Okay.
board.
They're on 100 mil centers, aren't they?
Looks like, you know. Let me stop sharing and let's see.
Point 0.68.
That's the hole diameter?
No, I'm talking about centers, you know.
0.63. I don't know. I'm very confused by reading.
No, I think that this thing is in an array of 0.1 inches distance.
What? Okay, but those
I
holes,
mean,
those
the
holes
whole,
are way bigger than the pogo pins.
yeah, but you can use a perf board to do your connector, you know,
Yeah.
because
I
I think
I think I see what you're saying. I think I see what I think
they
I
have
understand.
and you can use 3 boards in a sandwich to make sure that the pogo is straight. You
Straight.
know,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
you use three boards and you reshape the holes to make the pogo pass through, and you solder in the top board and in the bottom board, and they will be straight. Will be a thick board,
Yeah.
three times
Are,
one
are you
1/16 of an inch.
are,
That is
are,
the standard.
are you saying you don't like my little 3D printed
No,
jig that doesn't work?
I like it, but you don't need it.
It didn't work anyway.
You can use
It
stuff
took
you
all
already
20
have.
minutes to print that, and it didn't work. So,
I mean, you already have the parts you need if you want to do it in a different way, you know.
yeah. No, no, I understand. I think I understand.
How long are those pogo pins? Like a half inch or longer than that?
15 millimeters. It's a three quarter of an inch.
16
You
millimeters.
said 15 millimeters?
15, 16, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
They
3/4 of an
are
inch is 19 millimeters, but okay.
less than that.
The pin center. I'm not sure if I understand their terminology or whatever, but the pin center is 0.68 millimeter, and the
Well,
minimum test distance is 1.27 millimeter.
this specification is what? Of the pogo.
The 16 millimeter, I guess that's the length,
Is the length, yeah.
and
But you have between this point and the board, there are 10 millimeters from
okay,
the surface to the board.
right,
There are 10 millimeters.
right.
You can measure this with this. So you have like 5 millimeters to pass through the board and see the other side of the. You can use 2 boards, and
Right.
2 boards will be 3 millimeters, and you still have an additional
A
2
little
millimeters.
extra. Yeah.
But you need to press the pogo pin, so it will go shorter,
Right.
like a millimeter or so. So
Okay.
The pin center is 0.68 millimeter. The minimum test distance is 1.27 millimeter,
That's pretty
Uh,
close to 100 mils.
and the full stroke is 2.65 millimeter.
But this is the pogo pin. This is not nothing to do with the distances. In
Right.
the
That's how springy
yeah
it is,
yeah
right?
yeah.
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 You can press 1.5 millimeters. If you go further, you will break the spring.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Need to become an artisan.
But I got plenty of pogo pins. That is-
So next week we will see your stuff working, right?
I was hoping to have it working today.
Okay.
I was like, why aren't you working?
I don't want to lose my screw, so let me put it again in place. This kind of screws usually have a retain because it's easy to lose them when you change batteries.
Yeah.
But this one doesn't have the retain.
They come clear out,
Yeah.
which I thought was weird for something that they're giving kids.
For kids,
Because
yeah.
kids will lose
Play
lose
with
that screw every single
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. It's no kid proof.
A lot of adults would lose that screw every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've chased a few screws around underneath tables and chairs and in carpets and whatnot.
Yeah. Sometimes I am soldering the surface mount resistors, and usually always I lose one. I jump and I say, okay, forget it. It's impossible to
Yep.
find it. It's impossible. I try several times, but there's no way. They end in places that you never know. But I never see them again ever. So
Well, if I have a screw loose, I just shake my head till it falls out, and I can. Well, may I ask a question here?
of course,
Is anyone interested in a 20 cell battery block?
Holy cow.
They are 18 650s. There's 20 of them, and I'm not certain that they're any good. When I look at them with a voltometer, all of the cells look like they have a very, very low battery voltage. And so they may be below what is capable of being recharged.
Are they removable from the array there?
No, the board has it goes completely under this pack. And it appears to be in a group of 5 or 6 batteries.
I have a question. Do you have free delivery?
Yep, right to my mailbox. um, I can arrange for delivery.
No, I have them some.
What do you know what that came out of?
I do. It came out of an abandoned hoverboard.
Okay.
Really? Hmm.
Yeah.
They may be
I've
okay.
got all the electronics for the hoverboard as well as the drive wheels.
You've got the wheels.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Leroy,
I had no use for any of this stuff, so
you have the charger, Leroy, for that.
I do have the charger.
Yeah. So
Um,
pick it.
I mean, I guess we could try to charge it up.
Yeah.
okay. Now, would you charge it as a unit or would you look to do individual cells?
No, as a unit.
Yeah, I think probably as a unit.
How are they wired? Some kind of series parallel thing, Mike?
I've looked at this. Let me see if I can get this up here again.
Those are 36 volts. So do the math.
Okay. And the blocks between them look like they're end to end. And so when we come around to the other side, you can see that there are one termination board here, another, this mirror image is driving me nuts here. Another one here and another one here.
But usually they are 36 volts.
I've been trying to do the arithmetic on this, and I haven't come up with a good number that matches. Because if you look at the top, that looks like a unit by itself. They're attached
How
to the charging board
how many batteries are there?
20. But this looks like a unit of 4 here.
24, 3.6 volts.
They should be 3.7. These are no namers. They have
Okay, that is-
the
It's
number
10.
on them, but they don't say who the manufacturer is.
they must be 10 in series in
Yeah,
parallel with another 10.
That's what I was thinking. If they're wired in 10 and 10,
Yes.
then that would be 37 volts,
Yeah, sorry.
give or take.
Yeah.
So it would be, so you would get the benefit of amperage and voltage.
Voltage.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
But if they look like they're wired up in series parallel is what they look like.
okay, if you look at the top battery, there are 2 in parallel and then 2 in series for the
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm,
So it, even if you went half that,
Okay, Leroy, if you're interested in these, I'll drop them at your sister's. You can pick them up whenever you want.
okay.
If she's interested, if she's willing to hold them for you.
I don't see why she wouldn't. It's catching her at home. I can swing by if you'd rather.
It doesn't matter to me. I mean, you know where I live, so
Yeah.
it's not very far.
But what about Tim Horton tomorrow?
Do what?
Tomorrow morning? Huh?
Do what?
And
Do what?
I go there also in the outdoor world place, Monroe, right?
Monroe, yeah.
Monroe. We can have a meeting there, a coffee meeting tomorrow. Any interested? Jim, are you awake?
Who, me?
Jim, yeah, tomorrow. Tim Horton, coffee
I don't know.
and mask.
Okay, so I'm gonna ship this to Leroy. Is that correct?
That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
No quorum.
The other item I have is just kind of a silly thing. I have used and abused a Craftsman snow blower. And the carburetor is crapped out. So I decided I'll go online. It's a Tecumseh carburetor and buy a rebuild kit. I couldn't find any rebuild kits for less than $16, but I could buy a brand new carburetor for $12.
Yeah. That
Right.
makes sense.
From California, free shipping. Now, my wife just sent some packages to Kansas City, and she paid $13 for a package to Kansas City. How can anybody make any money shipping a carburetor, a new carburetor from California to Ohio?
Well, it depends on what route you go. If you, the problem with shipping small packages is if you want it there in one day, it's a zillion bucks.
Yeah.
If you want it there in 2 days, it's half a zillion bucks, et cetera, et cetera. If you don't care when it gets there, you know, it can be pretty cheap.
Never is free.
Well, I just want it shipped from California to Ohio.
Yeah, never's
via
free.
boat. I'm not certain exactly what route you'd have to take to ship it by boat.
Well, down through the Panama Canal.
I could think of a couple of ways to get it here by boat. It wouldn't be the most efficient way, but could go. You could go the long way,
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
the really long way. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're down to about 3 minutes or so.
Yep. We're getting there.
Yeah. So, you know who hasn't really said much? Let's see if we can get Jim to say something.
Oh,
Go,
no,
Jim.
you have, that's suicidal, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
How are you doing, Jim?
Doing great.
I saw your graphic about the COVID. We are going well, yeah.
Yeah, you're looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely going the right direction.
I also saw your supercapacitor new material. This will be great, yeah, for remote devices that use solar power or something that they can charge, use capacitors instead of batteries.
Yeah, the battery things, everybody's going crazy. The Swedish battery manufacturer, Norfolk, receives a $14 billion order from Volkswagen. Supposed to be able to improve the density by 70%.
Wow.
Over the other lithium batteries. Well, here's one for Leroy.
Oh,
How to
yeah.
build an airplane tracker with the Raspberry Pi.
Now that's an SDR, I assume, right?
It's a aircraft receiver like an SDR of some sort. It's a special aircraft device that receives and it gives you the longitude, latitude, is transmitted, you receive it. Yeah.
You probably also get the squawk, don't you?
I think this is a special for people who can't afford the expensive transmitter boxes. They have a cheap thing for anti-collision device. They use a cheap interface, so some of the smaller planes will have this device. Some of the smaller planes with cheaper device. It's a good article. You can read it. It'll tell you about it, what it is.
Okay.
About 15 seconds.
See you
By the way,
guys
Jim,
next week.
how do you get your password updated on Wix?
Too late.
Uh,
I'll have to look that